short film?
The short film is near post-production. I think we're pretty much done. We're wrapping it up. We're just kind of figuring out distribution and the film festival circuit. So I'm really excited, man. I was very grateful for the opportunity, for the experience. I'll discuss more when I can, like the details of it, but it was just an exciting venture, man. It was. This is the first time when I say directed, the first time directed a scripted film. My films before were very like abstract, experimental, like just required music. I required music to tell the story, and this is the first time I actually got to deal with actors, and
Right.
just I saw myself in that light, and the encouragement of my crew and the people around me, my colleagues, made me realize, this is for me. Like I can be a director. Obviously, there's still practice, still improvement, but the fact that I had that natural ability to just like talk to the actors nicely, like human beings, right? People forget that sometimes they just get right into it. I was watching, funny enough, the Empire of Dreams, the George Lucas documentary,
Dude, that's a
right?
great movie.
Great doc,
It's
great.
so good,
And
dude.
and you were and you recommended it to me, so I checked it on Disney Plus, and I have to finish it off actually. But I watched it years ago when I first got that special edition
Right.
Star Wars DVD back 2004. But again, I was a kid, so you got to always refresh it and see if you take the same take it in the same way. And again, as a filmmaker, as someone that is in the industry more than I was when I was 10, I can actually understand what they're talking about, but I can also understand why why they were struggling in the beginning, right? Like for the simplest things, George Lucas, creative genius, did well, executed it beautifully. However, he struggled with dealing with the actors, right? Harrison Ford would say he just wanted him to say that, like just say it like that, just say it like that. And you have to get them to that place. You have to get a performance out of them. And as an actor, you should know, right? Is the director needs to communicate that with you or give you at least a few tries to get that right performance, right? It's kind of like the patience. So that documentary, huge Star Wars guy, and it was very inspiring just to hear how he made it happen. Really badass, in my opinion. I know it's like tailored around like or people associate like George Lucas and Star Wars with geekiness, but I love the fact that he's kind of a savage. Like he basically didn't wasn't getting the projects he wanted to pick when he was pitching Star Wars. It wasn't they didn't really see eye to eye, or he really wasn't like he didn't like the studio system, so he created his own division or his own
It,
company, right? Lucasfilm, and he kind of just created an ILM because the visual effects at the time, like the studios that offered it, like the divisions, were shit.
the
Um,
funny thing about like that the whole George Lucas thing with that whole thing,
yeah,
right? Is he's like such a maverick, right? And he was trying so he was such a rebel, and he was trying so hard to fight against the studio system. But his movie Star Wars is the thing that rejuvenated the studio system movies.
yeah,
So it's sort of like this weird like it's like it's a
no,
bit ironic, you know?
honestly, it's exactly he became the very Sith he seek to destroy, as they taken from Star Wars. And it's scary, right? In a way, because you see like the prequel trilogy, right? And I know it's his vision. I know that's what he wanted to do. He even said it, like they are $200 million independent films. That's how he describes them, because he
Yeah.
funded he that's his own money that he put into it. 20th Century Fox just distributed it. But to see how much they became almost like it was part of a machine or part of a committee, like a corporation. And we saw for sure with Disney. I don't even want to go there. That feels like at least with the prequels, like that's why I think I give him more credit and more slack. Is I see that he's trying, like it's someone behind the camera, like it's trying to execute a vision, but maybe rough around the edges. Disney, on the other hand, after Force Awakens, see, Force Awakens got me pumped up. I was ready to go. I thought they were really going to take the story in a unique place, right? The possibilities were there. You never know, right?
Yeah.
And the next two, the following two films, Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker, you just realize, wow, this is like a company. Like this is like they probably went through I don't know how many scripts, I don't know how many writers were probably on standby. Like it's just, and again, you and I both know with filmmaking, you can't do that. It has to be a vision, one vision, right? In
Well, I think
collaboration with everybody else, right?
the biggest thing I noticed with the most recent 3 Star Wars films is that it just didn't seem like they'd mapped it out before they like, I find it's like with all filmmaking, it's in my opinion, it's so important to know what you're doing before you do it, right? So
Mhm.
like, I know you were speaking a lot about like the festivals and distributing and doing stuff like that. And it's really important in my opinion to try and like figure that out before you make the movie. Like you want to know where your movie's going to fit, where it's going to go before
Yeah.
you make it as much as possible. So when you do make it, that's not a problem later. And you can also make sure that what you're making is something, that's really sort of going to have a home, right?
No,
And I think like,
yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
No, no, I was just go finish what you're saying. I'm agreeing with everything you're saying.
Yeah, and I think like it comes down to like obviously you want to start with the script at the beginning and be really clear on the script. And I think ultimately that those 3 Star Wars movies, in my opinion, it didn't seem like there was they sat down at the start of the process and even mapped out where it was going to go to the end. Like it seemed like each film was sort of like a crazy
Yeah,
different direction
they
where
just
none
threw
of
it
them
out
sort of,
there. Yeah.
yeah, right.
And no, but exactly to that point is, with the what people fail to realize is whether they shit on the prequel trilogy or the sequel trilogy, George Lucas had those films planned out in his head. That's why there's some sort of cohesion. Again, you put it nicely where you're like they're not written the best, but the story is there. It's just not executed properly. And it's right. If you look at it, right, forget the script, but if you just look at it from a story element, you could see like why people gravitate, why there's like, it's a beautiful story, right? Or why I'm intrigued by it. But with the sequel trilogy, like you said, they literally expected the director to come on board to create the story or continue it. And what they like, I'm really amazed that with these big companies with all the money invested, they don't at least do an outline, like how things will pay off or a second act. And like what baffled me the most though, the thing is people will talk uh talk shit about, The Last Jedi, that Luke Skywalker, he was not the same character that I last saw him, and Daisy Ridley's and Mary Sue. That stuff didn't bother me like as much as, again, back to basics of simple storytelling. Like nothing had consequences, there was no stakes, and in the end, the characters were the same when they left off, right?
That's a great point about that movie.
So
Absolutely.
so for me, man, it's like I'm not that kind of guy like, oh, like they ruined the lightsaber is technically supposed to be green when he's at the end battle. Like I don't care about those semantics. I care about where are the characters going? Like what's happening? A big example for me, man, is I know the internet agrees with this. When Finn was about to commit, sacrifice himself, right, for the resistance, that
Right.
would have added so much weight to the character and made him so much more memorable than what we got. Rose, knocking his ship and, giving that pathetic kiss. Like, I just, again, story's a big thing for me. Once you get the story down, next you got to worry about the sound, but, they got the sound there. At least, you know what I mean? You could still watch the movie, but they were missing the story, bro. That was the most important thing for me, man.